So the next news is about the GST Council, as GST Council defers tax rate increase on textile, and it decided to increase the tax rate on remain the tax rate on textile as 5%, but again and on leathers, on especially on footwears, the the GST rate is increased from 5% to 12%, and this was in news. So what is this GST Council, and how are things are being done? We will discuss that. So GST Council is a constitutional body because it is made from an amendment in the constitution itself. So it is a constitutional body, and it work with the issues related to goods and service tax, and it is chaired by union finance minister, and others members are, and the union state minister of revenue or finance, and minister in charge of finance or taxation of all the states. So moving on, so how this is actually composed. So it is based on the article 279A of the amendment of constitution, and the DST council, which will be a joint forum of center and state. It is a joint forum of both center and state, and it consists of, as we already said, union finance minister and union minister for state in charge of revenue, state in charge of revenue or finance, and also minister in charge of finance, and also minister nominated by each state government member. And GST council is the governing body of GST, and it is having 33 members, out of which 2 members are of center and 31 members are from 28 states and 3 UT, that is union territory. And vice chairperson is decided by member of council of state, and chairperson of CBEC, that is Central Board for Excise and Custom, is a permanent invitee, and it is a non-voting member. So all these members are there, and the basic composition of the GST council is like this. So what are the different mandates which is dealt in GST council? So basically it first work is to decide the rate of different GST taxes, and also if there is a resolution needed between state or the union. And also it different special provisions. For example, different special provisions are given to a state of northeast and Himachal and Jammu Kashmir, and these kind of things are taken care by GST council. And basically it gives a recommendation to both state and union. And also it gives the date on which the new rate should be applied, and especially in the case of petroleum crude oil. So when new petroleum rate should be decided, it all is decided by GST council, and one half of the total number of members of GST council shall constitute the quorum of its meeting. So until and unless one half is ready, the thing should not be finalized. And basically it is there for harmonizing the structure of goods and service tax. And the goods and service tax council, that is the GST council, shall determine the procedure in the performance of its function. So it's a autonomous body, we can say, kind of not complete autonomous, because people from different aspects are there, and a voting is mm, done for deciding any matter. So not a complete autonomous, but still autonomous is in making in its own decision, or we can say sovereign in its own making its own decision. So this is the what we can say mandates of GST council. So moving on with the next news is that the welfare scheme for workers are hanging on fire, because the as we know that union and labor and employment ministry launched surveys for organized sector workers and started a portal for registering such workers. We all know e-shram portal is there. And but still the labor law passed are still unfulfilled, because in many of the cases we all know there were four labor laws passed, and we will be discussing those labor laws in details. And also, ministry listed out the development in 2021, means the Ministry of Union Labor and Employment Scheme, but there was no word on when welfare measures for gig and platform workers, which was introduced for the first time in the labor code, would be implemented. And also, one of the initiative launched in 2021 was e-Sharam portal, which was launched on 26th August 2021 with the purpose of creating a national database of unorganized sector. So e-Sharam portal is kind of important, and fact like these can be asked in prelims. And also there is this ESI scheme is extended, and the ministry had the employees state insurance scheme is extended to 52 districts in the country, and it brings 2.31 lakh employee under it. So what are the different major labor laws, and how far the unorganized sector are, what are the different welfare scheme for unorganized sector, we will be dealing that. So what are the different labor laws? So first what happened, that there were previously there was 44 labor laws, and now these all are consolidated into these four labor laws, that is code on wages, code on occupation safety, health and working condition, code on social security, and code on industrial relation. And the parliament has already passed all these four codes, and it has already received the president accent, but still many states have not notified this, so notification is not done. So what are the these different law? So the code on wages act 2019 deals with to aims to wage and bonus regulate wage and bonus. Okay. And this bill, that is the code on occupation safety, health and working, deals with the regulation of health and safety. It also deals with regulation of health and safety in the working space. And this code on social security, basically it consolidated 9 laws related to social security, and also this maternal benefit, because maternal benefit come under social security when it comes to labor laws. So this code on social security is also cover maternal benefit. Suppose a question in prelims is asked that maternal benefits in labor laws comes under. So suppose these four options are given, we can simply click on this code on social security. And also this is one of the extensive law, that is code on industrial relation, and it seeks to consolidate three labor laws, and that was labor dispute act, in dispute act was there, and also this trade union act was there, and also this industrial employment act was there. So this law basically kind of consolidate these three laws, and it aims to improve the business environment, the overall environment of the in the country, largely by reducing the labor compliance burden for industry. So the burden on the labor should be decreased, and it should be reduced. This law deals with these kind of things, so that a better environment can be made in industry itself. So moving on to the different welfare scheme which are there by government. So there is this for unorganized sector worker, obviously. So first one is this Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Protsahan Yojana, and Aam Aadmi Bima Yojana, Atal Bimit Vyakti. These are the basic welfare laws, and we have to, if you are preparing for UPSC, then also we can use this kind of law. And I will suggest you all to look into a little details on about these all law, that what are these law and what things they are discussing about. Don't worry, we will be updating this on our Telegram channel also. So moving on with the next news. So the next news is about NDPS Act, and we all know currently this act was very much in news. So we will be discussing this in details. So the news is that the sexual enhancement drugs won't come under NDPS Act, and this is simply the news, and it was an issued by Supreme Court. So we all know that whenever a judgment related to social issues is done by Supreme Court, that became kind of important for all of us in prelims. So what is basically this NDPS Act, that is Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substance Act 1985. So this act regulates certain operation such as manufacture, transport, and consumption related to narcotics, drugs, and psychotropic substance. So this regulate, we can say, regulate this narcotic drugs and psychopathic substance. And under this act, financing certain illicit activities such as cultivating cannabis, manufacturing drugs, or harboring persons engaged in them is an offense. So financing these drugs and all that is an offense in this. And also the person found guilty should be imprisoned for at least 10 years or extendable to 20 years, and a fine of rupees 1 lakh. And it also provides for the forfeiture of property. Your property could be seized if you are booked under this act. And also it also provides for death penalty if you are a repeated offender. Because see, this act became important because in India only few things are there which comes under death penalty. So if you are a repeated offender of this Ndps Act, you can come under death penalty. And the Narcotic Control Bureau, that is NCB, the fact is that it came under 1986 under an act. So this became a constitutional body. And recently it was very much in news due to one superstar actor was found, allegedly found taking drugs. So this was the thing. So we have to know this NDPS and all that, because Supreme Court judgment is also there. And also, what is the objective of this bill? So the objective is basically to help victim of drug abuse, and also decriminalize possession of limited quantity of drug for personal use while regulating large operation. So it also decriminalize limited quantity. Okay, limited quantity. And at the same time it penalize heavily on those drug mafia and all that. So what are the concern related to this bill? Because the concern is that this is in retrospective from 1st May 2014. Retrospective means, suppose even if you are caused in 2020, and this bill came in 2020 perhaps. The amendment came in 2020. So even if you have substance from 2014, you can be arrested on that basis. So this is known as retrospective. And is also it said that it violates fundamental law also, that is article 20. Because a person can be punished for an offense for which there is a law in existence at the time of commission of the offense. So article 20 basically guarantees protection against arbitrary and excessive punishment to an accused person, whether citizen or foreigner. So arbitrary punishment is kind of there, because they can take you to courts and all those things, and they can put you in jail. So if that kind of thing are utilized for arbitrary punishment or not, people have to watch that kind of thing. And courts also, their responsibility increase when these kind of things happen. So what are different initiative to tackle drug addiction? So there is this NACRO coordination center. Sorry, not NACRO, it is narco. We all know narco. Okay. And in this narco coordination center, it was constituted in 2016. And the scheme was basically to financial assistance for the state to narcotics control. So financial assistance to states. So this was the basic objective. And also there is this season information management system. So this Narcotics Control Bureau has been provided funds for developing this software, which will create a complete online database of drug offense and offender. So this is basically a database for drug offender and the offenses. And there is also this national drug abuse survey. And it is to measure trends of drug abuse in India through Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. And Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment is there. Okay. And with the help of National Drug Dependence Treatment of Center of AIMS. So AIMS and Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. So these kind of facts became important when it comes to prelims. So we can say that National Drug Abuse Survey is related to which ministry? So Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment should be our answer. And also, one important thing regarding this National Drug Abuse Survey is that this Project Sunrise was taken care by this National Drug Abuse Survey. And in this Project Sunrise, it was launched by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare to tackle the rising HIV prevalence. So due to increase in drugs, people are going through HIV. So means not directly, means under the influence of drugs. So also this Ndps Act is there. So it prohibits a person from producing, possessing, selling, purchasing, transporting, or shorting, every kind of thing regarding to drugs. And also the Ndps Act has been amended thrice. First it was amended in 1988, and then again it was amended in 2001, and again in 2004. So thrice it has been amended. And also this act extend to whole of India, and it implies also to Indian citizen outside India. Suppose if someone is taking drugs and move away from airport, so this act is applicable to those also. So there is a small correction I want to do. I said here that this act was amended in 2020. So no, this is not amended in 2020. Amended thrice in 2014 itself. So here also one correction, 2014, I'm sorry. So there's this Nasha Mukt Bharat Abhiyan also. Government of India has launched it for removing all kind of drug abuses cases, and to make India drug free, means use of unprescribed drugs. So moving on with the next news, the Chinese embassy writes to group of MPs, basically six MPs, to refrain from supporting the cause of Tibetan independence. And also, and this came after six MPs from All Party India Parliament Forum attended Tibet a meeting in a Delhi hotel about Tibet. And the Forum of Tibet dates back to 1971 and has a distinguished list like Atal Bihari Vajpayee, George Fernandez, and Mohandi Karim Chagla. So these kind of people has previously attended Forum of Tibet. And also this forum was a cultural outfit that promoted Tibetan heritage and issues relevant to Tibetan refugees. So six MPs basically took part in this forum, and the Chinese embassy wrote to this MP to refrain to take part in this kind of forum. So moving on with this news, so firstly we have to know what is those issue with the Tibet and India. So Dalai Lama and Tibet is one of the major issues between India China relationship. So we here can see this is the old Tibetan era, and mm, it is now being taken by China. So for geography perspective, for Tibet, old country was touching borders of Nepal, Bhutan, and a few portion of Burma, and here to Pakistan. So this much bigger province was Tibet. And there is this background of India's Tibet policy also. So what is that Tibet policy? So for centuries, as I have discussed, Tibet was India's actual neighbor, and India's boundary, it shares about 3500 kilometers of LAC with the Tibetan Autonomous Region and India. And India previously used to share boundary with Tibet only and not with China. And what happens in 1914, Tibetan representative along with China signed Shimla Convention with British India to define the boundaries. So Simla Convention was signed, and China did a full accession in 1950, and China repudiated the convention as well as the McMahon line, but that is the line between India and Tibet. And also further in 1954, India signed an agreement with China, which recognized kind of aggression in 1950 China aggression, and in 1954 India recognized China aggression. So in 1954, India recognized China aggression, and further in 1959, following the Tibet uprising, Dalai Lama, the spiritual leader of Tibetan people, spiritual as well as political leader of Tibetan people, and many of his followers came to India. So this is the kind of we can say background or the history of India and China relationship when it's come to Tibet. And the Foreign Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru gave Dalai Lama and Tibetan refugees shelter and helped in setting up Tibetan government in exile. And also, the official Indian policy is that the Dalai Lama is the spiritual leader, and Tibetan community in India with more than a lakh exile is not allowed to undertake any political activity. So, political activity is not allowed. So but there's now we can see there's this sudden shift in a recent shift in India China, or we can say India Tibet relationship, because in the event of increasing tension at in 2014 around Galwan Valley, India shifted its approach towards Tibet. And India government actively managed Dalai Lama in public forums. For example, in 2014, Prime Minister Modi has invited the head of Tibetan government in exile to India, and his name was Lobsang Sangye. Lobsang Sangye. Name is not important, but just for a perspective, we are saying that. So in 2014, he was invited for swearing in ceremony, and however, he was not invited in 2019. So he was not invited in 2019. And also recently the Prime Minister of India wished Dalai Lama in the first public acknowledgement. And also the shift in India's Tibet policy is major focused on symbolic aspect, so not on like original aspect but on symbolic aspect. But there are many challenges for India. And what are the basic challenges? So the first challenge is the Tibetan demography is changing, because over the past few decades China is promoting people from mainland China to migrate to Tibet. So people from mainland China is migrating to Tibet region, and China is increasing suppressing the Tibetan population, which links to Dalai Lama and pouring in investment infrastructure. So investment is also coming with the mainland diaspora. And also Tibetan are being against each other, because as India China tension grows up and turned violent after the Galwan Valley clash, China has begun raising Tibet militia group. So there is this ideological clash between Tibetan people. And also there is this issue of Tibetan citizenship, because the Indian government doesn't give Tibetan citizenship after 1987. So there was this accord, 1987 accord, which was in 1987 was decided at the cutoff year of giving citizenship to Tibetan people who are in India. And this has created a sense of dissatisfaction among the youth of Tibetan community. And further, in past few years, the US has also increased its role. So now the introduction of US is also there for giving citizenship to Tibetan refugee, and this also impacted India's role as the sole entity arguing about the future of Tibetan refugee. And also there is this question of Dalai Lama succession, where because Dalai Lama in his lifetime have to maintain a successor, which is currently known as Panchin Lama. So his successor will be named as Panchin Lama, and then when Dalai Lama died, he will be Dalai Lama. So this is the cycle of Buddhist philosophy. So Dalai Lama is already 86-year old, but still no successor has been appointed by him. So this kind of question is there, and he is saying that his next incarnation could be in India or could be in another country also. So there is this confusion regarding with his successor also. So these were the basic news which were important for today. So see you tomorrow. Thank you, and do subscribe to our Telegram channel and our YouTube channel also. Thank you.